The last 24 hours have been an absolute nightmare for Marvel Studios as a huge article dropped with bombshell after bombshell revealing some of the chaos that's been going on behind the scenes at Marvel. Not only, once again, showing that the mainstream media is turning on Disney and Marvel, and now that they're failing in front of everyone's eyes, they're ready to criticize them, but also showing that everything we've been saying about the MCU for the past several years is 1000% correct. They are struggling at the box office, they are failing on streaming, and they are desperately looking for a way to turn the ship around. And look at this headline: 12 bombshell Marvel report details reveal the MCU in crisis. There's a lot of stuff about Jonathan Majors. There's stuff about them moving off of the Kang Dynasty and maybe even bringing the original Avengers back. There's talk about changing everything about the way they do their TV and streaming shows. But one very interesting part of this report that I wanted to talk about specifically was about the Marvels. We know that the Marvels is going to be a disaster. We weren't sure quite how bad it would be until we saw some of those box office projections. Potentially the worst opening weekend in the history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And now, once again, in this report, we're getting some behind-the-scenes details, including how bad the reshoots were, how they were desperate to try to cobble together a functional film. And of course, information that maybe the director wasn't as engaged as she should have been after the reshoots. Take a look at this. The Marvel's director, Nia DaCosta, reportedly left the film's production during post-production. Now, this is what you're seeing from a lot of different places right now, not just Bounding into Comics, but everywhere, that Nia DaCosta left the movie while it was in post-production. I don't know if I would necessarily say that she left the whole movie, but she went to work on a different movie while she was in post-production for the Marvels. While she was supposed to be there overseeing everything, most of her time was spent doing something else. So even if she didn't officially step away from the project or leave the project entirely, she wasn't present the way you would expect someone to be, especially when their movie is an absolute shit show. For someone like Nia DaCosta, who's so inexperienced and has never worked on something this massive, this big, the fact that she would leave a production that has a $250–300 million budget to go work on something else, to put her focus on something else for pre-production for another movie, that had to piss a lot of people at Marvel off. And now, when we start to hear that, oh, by the way, the public screenings they've done for this, the screenings for the Marvels, it's not very good. The reviews are not good. It's not leaving people excited or energized. No, contrary to some reports that came out from lying pieces of shit who spend their entire day calling people racist instead of actually getting any real information. The Marvel screenings are exactly like was reported several months ago. Pathetic. But look at the reports about Nia DaCosta and really everything to do with the Marvels. This is the section in this Variety article, the Variety article that basically takes down so much of what's been happening behind the scenes for the MCU. The Marvels, which opens in theaters on November 10th, will struggle to get the ball past the infield, at least by Marvel's outsized standards. The movie, which cost $250 million and sees Brie Larson reprising her role as Captain Marvel, is tracking to open to $75–80 million, far below the $185 million Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness took in domestically in its debut weekend last year. Directed by Nia DaCosta, The Marvels unites Larson's heroine with two superpowered allies, Tiana Paris and Monica Rambeau, and Iman Vellani's Kamala Khan. But instead of seamlessly building on the success of Captain Marvel, this move resulted in 4 weeks of reshoots to bring coherence to a tangled storyline. Then eyebrows were raised again when DaCosta began working on another film while The Marvels was still in post-production. The filmmaker moved to London earlier this year to begin prepping for her Tessa Thompson drama Hedda. A representative for DaCosta declined to comment. If you're directing a $250 million movie, it's kind of weird for the director to leave with a few months to go. And that is obviously the quote from whatever source they had for this Variety article that people are using, that she left the production. The way I interpret it isn't that she just picked up and left. My interpretation is that her attention was very split and not what they would have expected for somebody, an inexperienced director, by the way, that they gave a massive fucking project to. And that's not what they were expecting. And Nia DaCosta Remember, a few months ago in an interview, came out and kind of slammed Marvel, slammed Kevin Feige. Maybe there is a lot of bad blood there. Maybe that's why she decided not to stick around for too much of this disaster anyway. DaCosta previously informed Vanity Fair she had moved on from Marvel Studios back in September. It was great to play in this world and be a part of building this big world, but it made me just want to build my own world more. Vanity Fair's Rebecca Ford also confirmed DaCosta had moved on from the project by the time the interview was conducted. She wrote, "When we first spoke, she was just a week from starting production on Hedda, running from actor rehearsals in the morning to production meetings in the afternoon." Not only did she detail how she moved on, but she detailed how stressed out the production made her. That's where most of the pure stress as an artist came from. People are like, "Oh, it's a Marvel film. Cool, cool, cool. But I also have my name on it, so I want to be able to be proud of it too." She also asserted it's a Kevin Feige production. It's his movie. So I think you live in that reality, but I try to go in with the knowledge that some of you is going to take a back seat. Those are some of the comments that people saw that really made them question. That's kind of strange. That doesn't really sound like what you would expect a director to say in the lead up to this big movie. But it's been clear and obvious that this thing was going to be a failure, and now we're learning out even more about the chaos behind the scenes, the fact that the public reviews are not good for this thing, that people aren't impressed with what they're seeing, despite some activist insider scoopers trying to claim differently. This thing is a nightmare. Marvel is in chaos, just like we've been talking about for years now, and the mainstream is finally catching up. Let me know your thoughts about all this in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.